Hello there, my name is Veld, and welcome to the second part of our tutorial or guide in making asteroids or moons for that matter. Uh, in the first part, we saw how to build the geometry using textured points, weight maps, and the rescale tool. Okay, we'll build the geometry. So Lightwave works a different way to what I've seen from other programs such as Blender, 3ds Max, maybe Maya, I think. Which is they have a separate platform for modeling, for building geometry, and then another platform to animate and make scenes and rendering. So the previous one was Lightwave Modeler, and this one is Lightwave Layout. So as you can see, whenever you open the program, you have a standard light, directional light, an environment light, and a camera. It is naturally set to have like a skybox gradient whenever you turn on the render. Uh, First of all, we're going to deactivate the skybox, delete the environment light, maybe? Yeah, I'm going to delete the environment light right now. I'm going to load the object with prep, which is the asteroid right here. So this is the asteroid, which geometry, which we prepared in the last video. Okay. What I'm going to do in this video is show how to increment further detail. As you can see right now, the default texture makes the asteroid quite glossy, like it's made out of plastic or wet rubber, perhaps. Okay, we do not want this texture to be on our asteroid. So we're going to start adding some more texture creators and roughness to it. Okay. So some commands are very similar to light waves. Some commands are very similar. First of all, I'm going to save the scene. I'm already trying to record in this before, so I just save over. Okay. So if I press F5, I'll open the surface editor. Only has one texture, which is the texture we defined earlier. I'm going to reduce the diffuse by a bit. No specular because it's a rock. It doesn't have specular reflection. And it's moving parameters. Okay. If we turn on the Viper again, which is the shading for rendering, we see that the asteroid it is quite smooth. It's quite smooth. Of course, there's no actual roughness. The geometrical roughness is not nearly enough to give it the appearance of a rock. Okay. I will start by re- reducing the diffuse sharpness because in real life those objects are quite big. They have a few kilometers in size. So the diffuse sharpness will be quite high because the scale is very different. So I usually go for diffuse sharpness of 30%. So the side directly facing the sun gets, of course, gets a lot of sunlight. But then the side facing away from the disk of the sun gets no sunlight at all because there's no reflection. There's no atmosphere to scatter the light back and create soft shadows. So in space, shadows are usually pretty hard. Let's go to bump. The last video we deactivated the bump which we copied from the texture weight. We deactivated it because we're going to add the bump little by little over here. Okay, we have to invert those. We have to invert those. As you can see, the curves are popping out of the surface, and we want them to pop into the surface. So we're going to invert layer, and now we have the craters sinking into the surface of the asteroid. Okay, we can create rims by activating these. Okay, just same as before, except here the visual cues are more obvious. There's no colors. Very good. We can also edit the ledge level. Ledge is how tight the crater actually is. The crust effect actually is. I'm not going to edit those all that much. Leave those as they are. So invert all layers. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. Some both maps are competing with each other. For the larger ones, I don't really think we need the larger ones because we're fixing the smaller ones for texture, so we don't need them. We just want to add some small critters. So I'll keep those for 200 millimeters wide. Here, here, and keep the 500 ones. 5 meters. So now the asteroid looks like some sort of Swiss cheese. If it's too much, we can just reduce it like half. Get a little bit softer. Cool. Um, Maybe it's too much. I'll remove these actually. Yeah, that's better. Reduce the coverage a little bit. Nice. Maybe the other one's too much. Maybe it's too much. It's softer. Make an even smaller layer. That it covers much less of the surface. So basically have a history of craters, much smaller craters, and then few large craters. It looks way larger right now because now we have a sense of what kind of object collided with this one to make this sort of impact. We need to add some more roughness though. That's when the denting comes in. Make it subtractive. Oh, that was a bad idea. Let me deactivate the crests. Let's see where the denting is going. Oh, it's too big. Okay. I can change the parameter of the noise to make it slightly different. I still think it's too big. 0.7 meters, maybe? Okay, so now we have more roughness in some spots. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Because the asteroid, it's not made of one continuous solid material. It's like a ball of rubble. So of course you will have some particles that are harder than others, and you have like mountains of rock uh, piercing through space snows, through ices and stuff. So yeah, you can have those parts that are considerably larger and harder than the others. Some more noise. Uniform, everything. 0.9 of noise. Noise is too small. 0.5 meters scale. On top of it, duh, duh, duh. Maybe I can, instead of turbulence, I think I can use FBM noises. They are very useful for creating ridges and mountain chains whenever I make landscapes. You'll see why in a minute. Because it has all those ridges, depending on how space. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, now it looks more like a rock. And then you add the dented noise. Bam, you have mountains piercing out through the soft material. Now we can start to work with creeped craters. Now everything is too sharp. It shouldn't be as sharp. The craters are barely popping out. Can reduce the sharpness a little bit. Now the craters are coming back. Great. Nice. I feel good about this result. I feel good about this result. Change the light in direction a little bit. It's starting to look like a space rock. Starting to look more like it. If we zoom in, of course there's limitations to how detailed we make the texture, but from afar the geometry looks alright. The appearance of the texture does just as well. Depends really on what scale you're planning to take the picture. Like if I'm going up close, might as well just build a terrain, take a picture. If I'm taking the whole picture of the object, like from far, for scale, that does the trick just as good. Okay. I can change the line a little bit to see how the texture interacts with it. Look at this. For colors, well, for space rocks, it depends a lot on the composition. Like in space, there's not a lot of oxidation for iron to pop out as rust. It depends on the sort of chemical compounds that is interacting with it. Usually, the red parts of asteroids are given to tholins. Pollens are the result of organic compounds decomposing under sunlight. It gives an reddish appearance. It's the same thing that gives Saturn its orange hue, and Jupiter its red bands. It's the same type of chemical mix. If it's pure rock, it will be generally, generally more grayish, maybe some whites, depending on the ice. Depending on the ices, it may actually be have some white. I'm just going to stack some turbulences right here with some shades of grays. It's aside from moving the scale, I can use change. I can also change the position of the center of the texture to a random coordinate, and it changes as well. Everything is of a similar color. I'm going to add a streak of red on it, some tones. I like the colors on Mars, Moon, Phobos. Yes, I like the colors on Phobos. Aside from that, we can also add a layer of gradients. The gradients react to the weight map. Remember, this object has a weight map. So by 100%, we can say, well, this material it's a little bit more uh, clear. It's a little bit more clear saturation and bone-like. And for the material that's negative, I'm just gonna say this one's gray. This one at 0, I will make it a little bit more darker, that gray. If I color it like this using gradients, we can make the creators pop out. If this is a mute point texture, maybe inverted. I like this. I like this. Maybe it's too strong. Maybe it's 70%. I think that's all good. That's good. Could add some more noise, maybe. Well, for texture, that's it. That's it for textures. I'll make a separate video about the rendering. Like, of course, we are working with a more naturalistic color. Okay. We could call it whatever we want though. We can make we can make this object appear smaller by reducing the diffuse sharpness, or much larger by increasing the diffuse sharpness. Okay, like a 30%. That's good.